The 2022 NBA season is now in the books. The Golden State Warriors captured their 4th championship in 8 years, which puts them in pretty elite company. I mean, already they've been better than the Larry Bird Celtics dynasty in the 80s, and now the combined trio of Steph, Clay, and Draymond have as many rings as the Spurs dynasty of Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. Sheesh, guys. But anyway, today I want to talk about what's next for these teams: Miami, Boston, Dallas, and of course Golden State. In order for these teams to win the 2023 championship, where do they go from here? Do they got to break up the team a bit, get a superstar, or just retool some role players? Well, let's get right into it. First off, we'll start with Miami. If Miami just ran things back, they'll end up as a top 4 team in the East, and they'll likely end up back in the Eastern Conference Finals, where they were one Jimmy Butler 3 away from reaching the finals. But the truth is, whether they made it to the finals or not, as presently constructed, this isn't a championship caliber team. The problem with the Heat is that they rely on Jimmy Butler too much, and as deep as this team is during the regular season, in the playoffs, practically everybody disappears except for Jimmy Buckets. I mean, Tyler Herro averaged nearly 21 points per game while shooting 40% from three-point range in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he averaged about 12 points per game while shooting 23% from the perimeter. Bam Adebayo wasn't much better either. He put up averages of 15 and 8 during the postseason, but in the biggest moments, it just seemed like he wasn't even there. I think Joel Embiid hit the spot when he tweeted that Miami needs another star, because the truth is, they do. The issue with relying on Jimmy Butler so heavily is just exhaustion and injuries. I mean, even if the Heat did somehow squeak past the Celtics, their leader and the team in general were already so beat up and hobbled that they would have been absolutely destroyed by the Golden State Warriors in the finals. It would have been a complete sweep by Steph Curry and the crew, and it wouldn't have even been close. Not just due to lack of talent, but due to wear and tear of the playoffs. A player that might change that is Donovan Mitchell. There's been reports that he wants out of Utah, and if the Heat can somehow acquire him, then that'll be really interesting. With Donovan Mitchell in the mix, and if he can stay healthy enough for the playoffs, and if Coach Spo can integrate him well into the system, then the Heat could really be something. Tyler Herro would probably have to go, but like I said earlier, they won't miss him in the playoffs at all. In addition, Kyle Lowry is going to be 37 next year when the postseason rolls around. A 37-year-old 6'0" point guard who relies on a mixture of strength and athleticism to bulldoze his way to the basket probably isn't the best choice as the starting point guard for a team with championship aspirations. Anyway, if they can add Donovan Mitchell to the mix of Butler and Adebayo, it should alleviate a lot of issues the Heat face this year in the postseason. Jimmy Butler will finally have another Batman on his team, and they can share the offensive load without running themselves into the ground. Anyway, next off, I want to go over Dallas. The Mavericks lost to Golden State 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and the series wasn't even close. Steph Curry ran laps around them, and presently constructed, the same thing would happen if these two teams met again next season. The truth is, with the system that Dallas plays, they need at least one other All-Star on the team, maybe 2. It's a similar style to what LeBron James plays, one superstar surrounded by shooters, which isn't surprising because growing up, Luka's favorite player was LeBron. But anyway, from what we've seen, there are limitations to this style, unless you go out and get 2 more stars, which is what LeBron did when he teamed up with Wade and Bosh. As good as Jalen Brunson is, the Mavericks aren't going to win the championship with him as their second best player. Maybe if he was like their 3rd or 4th best player, that'd work, but not as their second. Recently, the Mavericks did acquire Christian Wood, an explosive power forward who can also stretch the floor. Wood just came off a season where he averaged 18 and 10 while shooting about 40% from three-point range. This was a great move by Dallas as they essentially traded 4 players who weren't in the rotation for someone who can do things like this.
Johnson, NBA champion Sam Cassell. Good pass.
He's like a combination of Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell. The question is, will this be enough for Dallas to get over the hump? And the answer is probably no. It's a good move, but for them to really reach that next level, they should really go get another star like Bradley Beal. Now, imagine a team with Luka, Wood, Beal, surrounded by 3-and-D players like Bullock and Finney-Smith, and then with Jalen Brunson coming off the bench. Sheesh. Now, that'd be something. Anyway, moving on here, let's go over the Boston Celtics. The Celtics just lost in 6 games to the Warriors, and to be honest, if it wasn't for that miraculous fourth quarter in Game 1 where they scored like 9 3-pointers in a row, this series would have been over in 5. People have been raving about the size, length, and defense of the Celtics, and if this was last year, they probably would have been champions, but unfortunately, they ran into a healthy Golden State Warriors team. The Celtics, as presently constructed, are good enough to get into the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals, but as long as Golden State is healthy, clearly, there's going to be a block. And that block starts with the Celtics offense. As we clearly saw, the Celtics lack the firepower to keep up with the Warriors. Part of that has to do with the skills of both Tatum and Brown, and part of that has to do with personnels on the team. I mean, first off, Tatum needs to learn how to use his size to his advantage. He needs to be more of a hunter on offense, and when he gets the mismatch he wants, he needs to take advantage of that. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, needs to tighten up his handles. He turns the ball over every time he drives into traffic, and turnovers played a huge role in why the Celtics lost that deciding Game 6. Now, if the owner of the Celtics can open up his pockets a bit and somehow acquire Bradley Beal, I think that'll solve a lot of problems of the Celtics offense. By having Beal on the floor, the Celtics can always have 2 all-stars on the floor, and similar to the Warriors, there'd be a constant flow of offense, and with their current level of defense, they'd truly be a formidable team. Beal and Tatum also have a really great relationship dating back to when they were both kids, so there shouldn't be any chemistry issues there. Anyway, next off we have the 2022 NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. Honestly, the Warriors, presently constructed, are winning the 2023 NBA championship. They shouldn't do anything, except keep the team together. I mean, honestly, with Wiseman coming back healthy and with Kuminga just getting better and better, along with what the Warriors already have, it's going to be a wrap. Nobody is stopping this team. So this comes down to Joe Lacob and how deep he wants to pay. The Warriors are already the most expensive team in the league, but hey, if they can continue winning, I'm sure that the profits would exceed the expenses, and Lacob probably wouldn't mind taking out his wallet. I mean, when he first purchased the Golden State Warriors, they were worth $450 million, and now they're worth $5 billion. So, assuming the Warriors come back next year with their core intact and healthy, and by core I mean Curry, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, Looney, and Poole, with their other young players like Kuminga, Moody, and especially Wiseman, it's a wrap, guys. Some of y'all might be saying that the Clippers with a healthy Kawhi and Paul George could possibly beat them, but the answer is just no. I mean, think about it. A fully healthy Clippers team almost lost to Luka and the Mavericks during the 2021 playoffs, and look at what the Warriors just did to Dallas. No team in the West is going to stand a chance against Golden State in a 7-game series, and like I said, especially with Kuminga getting better and with Wiseman in the mix. I mean, these two kids are athletic freaks of nature, and when you combine them with the veterans of Steph, Clay, and Draymond, it's over, guys. Honestly speaking, these Warriors are like Jordan and the Bulls. What I mean by that is players like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, and John Stockton could have been champions, but Michael and the Bulls were always in their way. Similarly, in this era, you have the Golden State Warriors, who are probably going to block a lot of players from ever reaching that final destination. Anyway, speaking of Michael Jordan, did y'all know that some players in the league actually trash-talked him? Yeah, I know, it's crazy, and you can check it out here. Why they did this is beyond me, but that's the truth, and the result wasn't so pretty for them. Anyway, just click the video, guys, and I'll tell you the full story on the other side.